He's Howard Eibach, a former copywriter and creative director and the author of 2 books on the creative brief.
And he's Henry Gomez, an ad agency strategist with over 27 years of experience. Together, Henry and I are the Brief Brothers. We love talking about creative briefs, briefing, and advertising. We're back with another episode, Henry, and today I have an announcement to make, something I've been working on for quite a while, kind of putting off a little bit, but I said it's time to pull the plug, or actually pull the trigger. It's called the Creative Brief Archive, and I've added it to my website. Let me do a quick screen share and tell you what it's all about. It's exactly what the name implies. This is a repository of creative briefs, not templates, actual creative briefs. And I've broken them down into, as you can see, as the rotating logos will indicate, by ad agency as well as by brand. All you got to do is click on this button here that says subscribe, give me your name, your email address, and you're in. Everything on this website is free. You can look at the briefs, you can download the briefs for yourself and share them with others. The whole purpose, something I've been working on for quite a while, is to have a single source where you can look at creative briefs that are done, including, I should add, a handful, and I suppose it'll grow as well, of student written briefs, which I will identify. And, Henry, you and I have had at least one episode that I can think of where we analyzed and went through a couple of creative briefs written by a student, someone who is now a working creative. So let me just show you. Right, a working strategist, exactly. So again, I've got it by agency here, and I'm going to continue to grow the number of agencies, and by brand. I've got a lot more briefs by brand than by agency at this point, but I'm proud to say, I've been working on this for a while, and it's live, it's up, it's ready to go. So I'm looking for 2 things from our viewers. I want you to subscribe, and if you've got briefs, completed briefs, please share them. Please give me copies and I will post them, because the idea is to make this thing like a library. And that's my big announcement.
This is fantastic, Howard. And I think that this is going to be a resource for brief writers to see other briefs written by other people, which is something as we've lamented, you don't get a real chance to do. Now, I think it's worth mentioning, not all briefs are created equal. I think you're gonna find some of the briefs in the archive are better than others. Some of them you might learn what to do. Some of them you might think about things you might not want to do. But I think the point is, without having something to compare with, how are you ever going to get better? So
that's a great point.
I applaud this effort and support it, and will be submitting briefs to you. I think people are probably worried about confidentiality and so forth. You don't have to disclose who you are when you submit these briefs. I don't think that's necessary. The purpose here isn't to give away industry trade secrets or anything like that. For the most part, these can be briefs that are older, for which, there's really no strategic benefit to anybody taking advantage, looking at what a brand was doing 5, 10, 20 years ago. But I think as a learning tool, it's going to be really, really important. So
thanks, Henry. I appreciate your support, and you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I've said to those I've hit up for briefs is go back into your archives way, way back, so that you don't have to worry about proprietary information. You may not even have that client anymore. The relationship has ended. So, I want to name a couple of names of some folks who have promised me that they will send me something, kind of hold their toes to the fire, so to speak. My old boss at Team One Advertising, now the head of TBW Chiat/Day New York, Rob Schwartz, has said he would dig into his files to see what he could come up with. A guest that we had here on our show, Andy Nairn, head of Lucky Generals, has also said that he would bug his strategists to see what they could come up with. What was I forget our friend Giles at that other shop in London. Oh, I'm embarrassed to say I can't think of his last name.
I'll
But
I'll flash it up on the, with a super. I can't remember Giles's last name either.
yeah,
I'm just horrible with names. My memory is starting to go.
blanking out today. And another colleague of mine, someone I had the pleasure of doing a workshop with his marketing department. His name is Dave Schneider. He's the chief marketing officer at Red Wing Shoes in Minnesota, a great brand. I did a workshop, actually a couple of workshops with his marketing department through the ANA. He asked me when on our initial phone call if I'd be interested in some old briefs that he had in his archives for Volkswagen and Nike. And I was basically drooling when he said that. And I said, yes. He hasn't come through yet, but I'm counting on his generosity, and I hope that he sees the value of what I'm trying to do here and will pony up those briefs. And there are others I'm going to be bugging. Oh, remember we had Greg Bennett on our show way back in the early days of the Brief Brothers. You know, he's a teacher of creative in New York. He's also promised to dig into his files. So I'm asking all my friends and colleagues in the industry to dig deep and contribute to this, because a library, I've got the shelves are kind of empty, and that's how a library starts. So this is what we've got. And I look forward to coming back from time to time and saying, hey, we've got 10 more or 15 more or 20 more briefs for our archive.
And I'll redouble my efforts and look at briefs that I have across my career. Not just briefs that I've written, but briefs that were written by my colleagues and or by agencies that we were co-agencies with, or working on different clients. I have gained access to briefs written by other agency colleagues for clients we have in common. So I'll redouble my efforts and see what I can dig up for you, Howard. But I urge everyone within the sound of our voice right now, if you've got any briefs that you think would be a great addition to this archive, and even if you don't know how to judge them or you don't want to judge them, submit them. And Howard is the librarian and he will take it from there.
And that's a really good point, Henry. I'm going to try not to be judgmental about the briefs, because your point is right. You can learn a lot from a brief. You'll start to discern between a really good brief and a not so good brief. And I hope brief writers will come and see, if they donate a brief and they see something that's better than what they've done, that they'll learn from that. So it's just a great tool. And let me I'll add one more thing. A recent guest of ours was Biba Madison, a freelance strategist from Berlin, who has started her own version of this. It's called the Creative Brief Bank, and she has posted a handful of briefs herself. I may steal a few of them. I know I already have a couple of them. And we're in conversation about how to maybe coordinate our efforts here. So I don't want to claim that this is the first and only, but I hope to make it the best and the biggest, because it's a resource we sadly need more of, because there's just very few places to get out there. So that's the big announcement, the Creative Brief Archive.
Good stuff, Howard.
Good stuff, Henry.
He's Howard Eibach.
And he's Henry Gomez. And together, we're the Brief Brothers. Till next time, bye-bye.